Okay, we'll talk about a few inyanim. Some behemshik for last week. So that's when you look in the Maamar, you see that the Maamar is trying to address three Maamari Chazal, Rabbi Seinu, Chassidus. There's three quotes, but they are all trying to bring out the same vart, but they end up going in three different directions. And the Maamar, at least the middle of the Maamar, a big chunk of the Maamar, is trying to make some sense out of it and trying to create that chibur. The three Maamarim go like this. One statement is the Dibra Maskil. Margala, Bepumei, Tachlis, Chachma, Shuvo, Maisim, Toyivim. Remember, Roshei, Chachma, here's the Maisim, Toyivim. So, what's the Tachlis of Chachma? Chachma is not the Tachlis of itself. Rather, what's the Tachlis? Shuvo, Maisim, Toyivim. So the end game is Shuvo, Maisim, Toyivim. Fine, that's one. The second statement is, this is the beginning of Sif Gimel. Pima de Isa v'Zoyar less machshava tfisa b'chklal am litvas iu berusa de liba. Machshava and all kinds of machshava, as he brings there Saga de Bina, and even higher than that Chachma, and even high in Chachma Gufa, the highest level of Chachma Riyah de Chachma. All of those won't be Teifas Atzmos. Rather, what is Teifas Atzmos? Rusa de liba. Bach, the Eibishter. Only Rusa de liba will be Teifas de Eibishter. Right. So before we go to the third, so right here we have two. We have Tachlis Chachma. Chachma l'cheir is the parallel, which is another way of saying less machshava. Machshava tvisa biklal. The machshava that the Maamar HaZoyar is speaking about is the Tachlis Chachma that the Gemara is in Bracha is speaking about. Right? The Chachma is not the ultimate. Machshava is not the ultimate. What is the ultimate? What does lead us to the Eibishter? So here, l'cheir they diverge. They go in two different directions. The Gemara says that the Tachlis is Shuvo Maisim Toyivim. And the Zoyar says, Rosa Deliba. So Rosa Deliba is what brings you to the place. Rosa Deliba, Rotzin Alev, Pnimius Alev, the Avatman of a Ben La'aviv, as it's before. That's what the Zoyar says. But from the Gemara, the Mashmal says, what's the Iker? Shuva Maisim Toivim. So is it Shuva Maisim Toivim or is it Rosa Deliba? Right? And that Take, you look at the Makir of the Maamar, what is it called here? The Yisoidei Maamar, the Kol Maamar. Right, so the Pashtus, the Maamar, Margala Pum de Rabba is the Friedrich Rebbe's Maamar by the Rebbe's Sheva Brachas. So the Maamar starts off with Tachlis, Margala Pum de Rabba, Tachlis Chacham Shomai Zinim, on page 863 over here in the Klidus. And Taka asks the Shaila, how could Tachlis of Chachma be Tshuva and Maisim Toivim? And Taka say, so he starts Sif Beis, Achayinu, it's page 64, so what's less machshava tfisa b'klal? What's rusa deliba? So the Friedrich Rebbe's Maamar, this is the whole Maamar from Sif Beis and on. Right, the Rebbe sort of is mesakim in Sif Beis, this beginning of less machshava tfisa b'klal, starting Sif Gimel and into part of Sif Dalet, the beginning of Sif Dalet. But this is better than the Maamar of the Friedrich Rebbe, which is miyosid on the Maamar in Samach Vav. We'll get to soon. The beginning of Samach Vav. So he goes into the whole arichis. What's less machshava tfisa b'klal? There's a sogas achiyuv, a sogas ashlila. There's the spoinus, the regular spoinus, and the spoinus of the flaw of elikos. There's the galus Hashem and the flaw of the Eibishter. Fine, but all of these don't reach the Eibishter. Only rusa deliba. Right, this goes all the way till Beis Gimel Daled Hey Vav, and then at Vav he says that after rusa deliba. And finishes off. Look, the end of on page 72. That machshava v'asaga teifas v'chinas geluyim levad, loy v'chinas atzmos. 3 lines from the end of the parak, the Maamar. That but risu deliba liyosei achos v'kosh v'chinas atzmis. Okay, but zedaf mitos v'chinas atzmis. Risu deliba, that's connected to that atzmos of Eibishter, so that connects to the Eibishter. Okay, but tachlis chap to my sedem. How does this answer the question? The last line of the Maamar, L'chein hini atachlis v'ikar de chachma hutshuvo ma'asim toimli yisbeza nitfas atzvus baruch. So after the whole Maamar that explains to me the Maamar HaZoyar that nitfas iu berusa deliba, the rusa deliba is nitfas atzvus. So now I can understand the pshat in the Maamar of Rava. That why is tachlis chachma dafka tshuv ma'asim toivim? L'chein hini atachlis v'ikar de chachma hutshuvo ma'asim toivim. Lias bazen nitfas atzmos baruch. What's the shaykh's shumais there? We just explained the whole Maamarim Rosa Deliba. Right? It's like Zab Shittis. And Be'etzem, this is, it has the Noyach Samach, no, it's Noyach Samach Zayin. It doesn't have Noyach Samach Vav, right? Noyach Lech Samach Vav, it has it? Lech, it says Lech, okay. Right, so Be'etzem, the Shaila already started Samach Vav, Noyach Lech, just Bekitzer, the beginning of Samach Vav, right, what's up with the Mahal of Samach Vav? Definitely the beginning. It speaks about how to be Tevis, the Eivishter, come to the Eivishter, is not get through mitzvahs. Because mitzvahs is the Ratzin of Hashem, and if you want the Eivishter, you need the Ratzin of Hashem. And he asks, why do you need mitzvahs for Ratzin Hashem? The world is also Ratzin Hashem. The Eivishter wants there to be a world. The Savas Oilam also comes from the Ritzoni Yisbarach. So why to access and keep up to know the Eivishter and connect to the Eivishter, you need the mitzvahs. Like, what's the connection of mitzvahs to the You want the Eivishter to do mitzvahs. Because the Eivishter's Ratzin is in those mitzvahs. The Eivishter's Ratzin is in this world. The Eivishter's Ratzin is in this table. So he speaks there about Kitzoyni Saratzin and Pnimi Saratzin. The world is only here for Torah mitzvahs, so it's like a person going to work in order to have money. The Ikr is not to work, the Ikr is the Geld, and the Geld is also not the Ikr is to live. Right? So the Pnimi Saratzin is in Torah mitzvahs, so you want the Eivishter to do Torah mitzvahs. Then, in Lech Lecha, in Noyach and Lech Lecha, he goes into this Inyan, Les Machshav Tzvisa Beiklau, and Itvas Iu Berusa Deliba. And he speaks in this whole Erich, the different economy in Hispainos. There are all kinds of Hispainos in the Eivish there. You go to a mountaintop and you're Hispain and Galus Hashem, one way or another you'll find the Eivish there. No, you're not going to find him. You'll talk about Giloyim, but you won't connect to the Eivish there himself. How do you get the Eivish there himself? Rosa Deliba. And there, from this word, he comes and says, no, this is the Lech Lecha Samach Vav. The word is brought over here. Whereas here also, in Lech Lecha, on page 78, 79, you're in the Kovetz. He says this in the Kudah, so you have Rosa Deliba, and Rosa Deliba leads you to Torah mitzvahs, and the Chavan is in Torah mitzvahs, and Torah mitzvahs is Mamshichim, it's the end of 79, where it's black, not great. Mamshichim chinas rotzina atzmi depimis v'atzmi sein tzayf. Yeah, when you do Torah mitzvahs, you'll bring you connect to the right? So, the whole teichen here, the Mahalach Advar, Bichlal, Niz, Maamarim, is always trying to say that Torah mitzvahs is what connects you to the Eivishter. But in middle, Mishtek Darai, the whole Maimer, the end of Noyach, we know Lech Lecha, the Rosa Deliba is Teifas Atzmas. Right? So what are we trying to say? We're trying to say Rosa Deliba is Teifas. So we have Rosa, so we see in all these Maamarim, we're bringing the Nikud of Rosa Deliba, of Maimer Zoyar, to explain something that's different than it. So we have Mark Bepumei the Rava, Tachas Chav Shumais M'Toyim. So let's go back to the first two Inyan. That Shumais M'Toyim is what's Teifas Atzmas. The Maimer Zoyar says Rosa Deliba is what Teifas Atzmas. But then in our Maimer he brings a third in. Right? And this he brings in Ara 20. In Ara 20, Tanya Sefer Dal. So we have the Maimer of the Gemara, the Maimer Zoyar, and there's the Maimer of Tanya. In Ara 20, HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'chvei De'Vatmi Les Machshava Tfisa Bei Klal. We literally use the lashon of the Zoyar. Les Machshava Tfisa Bei. But if the Zoyar finishes off and says Alit Vasiyu Berusa Deliba, Tanya Perek says Ki'im Kasher Tfisa Mislabeshes V'Teira Mitzvisa. And as the Rebbe finishes in the Arab, Mipashas Aloshin Ki'im V'Teira Mitzvisa Mashma Shekol Shara Inyanim Gam Rosa Deliba Gam Bittul Kabbalah Sil Einam Teifsim Ba'at. But the Alter Rebbe is saying Ki'im V'Teira Mitzvisa, and the Alter Rebbe is shoyl anything else, including L'cheira being shoyl the Zoyar that this whole lashon is based off. The whole yisoid of this word, Les Machshav Tfisa Bei Klal, is the Zoyar. But the Zoyar finishes off and says Nit Vasiyu Rosa Deliba. The Alter Rebbe says no, nothing, not Rosa Deliba, garnishment, only Torah mitzvahs. So we have here Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. We have the Zoyar that says Nit Vasiyu Rosa Deliba, and we have Tanya Ki'im B'Torah Mitzvah. Now, if Pashta could come and say Ki'im B'Torah Mitzvah of Tanya is Be'etzem some sort of chibur of Tachlis Chachma of the Gemara and less Machshav we have the Zoyar, because the Gemara finishes off Ki'im B'Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. So sort of the Ma'asim Tovim is the Torah Mitzvah that Alter Rebbe brings. Right? Alter Rebbe says it's only Nitzvahs you take the Eivishter through Torah Mitzvahs. Gemara says the Tachlis of Chachma is Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim. Right, Chachma is also Torah. The Alter Rebbe just came Torah mitzvahs, Torah includes Chachma. Either way, you have a few different mahalchim here, and also the Maamar Gemara is madgish tshuva, which the other ones don't have. So the way the Maamar happens, how does the Maamar bring it all together? We have three stages, three nekudas. The path to Atzmos is through this triangle. There is the first stage is Rosa de Liba, the Maamar Zoyar. That you want to be toifes Atzmos. That's Mashal Tfisa Bekiim Berosa de Liba. You need a Av of Rosa de Liba, followed by Kiyum Torah Mitzvahs Mitoich Kabbalah. So you have the Kabbalah is the Hadgasha of the Maamar of the Gemara. Shuv Maisim Toivin. So the way the Maamar here in different Maamarim and Sichos, where Masber Tshuva, the Mile of Tshuva, different Ifanim, the way this Maamar kochs and is Madbish on Kud of Tshuva. What's Tshuva? Tshuva is a Surah Mikal Iskar L'Shah. Tshuva is that Tnuah of going out of oneself. It's being mevatel oneself. Tzaddik is the avodativus. It's l'mayla, it's natural. There's no struggle. Tshuva is all about the struggle. A person changes. A person's in one place and goes to another place. So that's the so in other words, it's as if the Gemara is saying bittul. So that's bittul, and the tachas of bittul is bittul of Kabbalah Seil. So that's bittul. But then the tachas in it is the mitzvahs. You're doing the mitzvahs with it. The mitzvahs is the word of Tanya. The kiyum Torah mitzvah says the kiyum mitzvahs. In stages of what in how the Maamar says how you actually reach atzmos mamish. There's Rosa de Liba, Kabbalah Seil, bittul, and then kiyum mitzvahs. And that's how all these Amar Chazal come together. And that's what's going on in Samach Vav, and that's in the Pshat in Margala Pites, that Be'etzem, all these are needed. And now a big part of the Maamar is, why do we need all three, and why in this Seder Dafke, right? Which that will be Bifrat later on, right? It's the end of Sif Dal, but Meikir in Sif Vav, Zayin, where explains the relationship of Rosa de Liba, Bittul, and Kiyum Torah mitzvahs. What each one brings to the table. Because if the ultimate, as explained here in the Maamar, the ultimate connection to the Eibush there is through Kiyum Torah mitzvahs alone, then Mali Rosa de Liba, Mali Kabbalah, so we'll just do mitzvahs. If that's what brings to Atzmos Mamish, the Lashon of the Maamar. Well, no, we need them as well. But before we get to what each one brings, first of all, in Avanas Advarim, in the Oisius, the way the Rebbe brings it here in the beginning of Sif Daled, page 5. Right, Yuvim behektin, Mashakasav ba'Maamar, the Hemshech la'idin nitvas iu berosa delibo, sha'yidei tshuva ma'asim toivim, toivsim ba'atzmos, yeshloim ra'piyam avur, b'kama mekoyves, shakim atei mitzvah shlachir rosa delibo, hu madrega nalas yisr. When you do mitzvahs after rosa delibo, it's on a higher madrega. And by this we'll understand how, right, this the whole Teichon of the Maamar Friedrich Rebbe, how understanding Rosa de Liba gives us a Havana in how Shumai is Teifes Atzmos. And he says like this, the Rosa de Liba, Rosa de Liba itself has its own value, but then there's Rosa de Liba is the Akdama to Kiyum Torah Mitzvah and Nitfas Atzmos Mamish. Because in order to be Teifes Atzmos Mamish, it's through Torah Mitzvahs, but that will only happen when Asiyah is Bebittel. And the bittul is only when the ava that leads you to kiyum mitzvahs is ava atzmi shalmai b'tamnas rosa de liba. There's different kinds of avas. Rosa de liba is the highest level of ava. When that leads you to Torah mitzvahs, then you do the kiyum mitzvahs with bittul. Right, and here's the pashta shaila. We're creating a choice between all the different avas. So there's different avas here that he brings in the Maamar. There's ava pitamadas. There's Ava Shalamayim Mitamadas, La Flo, and then there's Ava Atzmis, Rosa de Liba. And only when there's Rosa de Liba involved, Rosa de Liba will allow you to do sort of that leap from Ava to Bittul of Kabbalah. Masha'enkein, and then you'll do the mitzvahs in a way of Bittul of Kabbalah. Masha'enkein, I assume, Masha'enkein, if your Yisoid is Ava Shal Pitamadas, a lower level of Ava, then you won't come to Bittul of Kabbalah. But the shaila is why the whole conversation? Why the There at Angel Ava? What's Ava for Mechutenda? If the word here is do Torah mitzvahs Kabbalah Seil, So get Ava out of the way. Ava is only an impediment. Because Ava we know is the Metzias. Ava is that a person has a Haragosha. Or Mereta, Ton Teiro Mitzvahs without Kabbalah Sale. Say there. So get from all the Avos, Roshei Deliv is the best. The least gets the person in the way out of all the Avos. But don't bring Ava B'chlal. Do Teiro Mitzvahs for Kabbalah Sale. I think of a Pashto, he doesn't know anything. He's garnished. Kabbalah Sale. And Taka, the Meret Barichis, you've seen the Maamarim, the difference between Ben and Eved. Ben has a heritage. Ben loves his father. Ben thinks like his father. He's be'etzem achelik from the tata. In Eved, there's Eved Pashut, Eved Nemon. The Eved Nemon also is oyiv es adoino. He has an avatism. He understands the gadlus of the Odin and appreciates a bit what the Odin wants. But the Eved Pashut doesn't base garden wouldn't be interested in the whole thing. He has to do what he has to do because he's an Eved. And he has the ultimate bittul Kabbalah sale. There's no mitzias me'orev v'zeh klal u'klal. Gewaldig. So what brings me Roshei Deliv? Have the Eved Pashut doing Kabbalah sale, and that's it. But no, the starting point is Roshei Deliv. Right. So later on he explains how Roshei Deliv adds a certain toikef mitzad giluyim that the toifis in atzmos should also be begala by the person. But before we have to ask Baris Advar and why it's needed, this whole Havana that out of Kabbalah, that the Roshei Deliv, that's what brings you to Kabbalah. And Roshei is saying here in Yisoidi Bi Yoiser, which you read B'demos and one of the other Maamarim, that at the end of the day, everything starts from Ava. Even when we're talking about Kabbalah Sel, when we're at the Hefst, the Dargis, and Bittul, the first point of connection between two Nivroim, Lachas Kamakama, between a Nivra and Boire, is going to come from Ava. Now, Take, Chassidus will be madgish and be very stubborn about this Indian, that no matter how much Ava you have, your Ava to the Eibishter, your Metzias won't get you any closer to the Eibishter. You need Bittul. True, because at the end of the day, without Bittul, you can't connect. But from the basic human experience, I'm not saying what actually makes that connection. Meret, practice how it works. How does a person make that step? You take a human being that's living his own life. Where does that turn happen? Where do you start? Where does the relationship start between Iyar and David? It will start by Ava. Just like any connection. The yesod where a person geht arois von sich, the yesod of leaving my own narcissistic personality and individuality and go and connect with somebody else is Ava. That's what Ava is. Ava is the first nekudas hachibur of the person to Azulas. Right? That chesed is awesome kol yoyim. All the midas, right? Midas is the first place where I leave self, and moichin, the person's latzah. Where does the person connect with the zulas? In the place of midas. The first midah is chesed, ave, because ave is at the core of geina rois from sich. Without ave, you'll never connect. You tell the person, okay, you saw it connecting to the Eibishter is Kabbalah sel. Okay. So therefore, if you want to connect to the Eibishter, the only way is through Kabbalah sel. What do you mean? Why do I want to connect to the Eibishter? Right? The Eibishter, because it's Eibishter. So what? He exists. The Eibishter was Metzabe. He said to do something. We say there. So what the Gazar? Why should I do it? Because I want to have a kesher. So the yesod will always be this tnuah of verbinden sich. Once it's a tnuah of verbinden sich, then the verbinden sich has to be done properly. Now, because the tnuah of verbinden sich can come from different oifanim in ave, more selfish ave, to more selfless ave on the spectrum, and that spectrum is from an ave where it's ave atluya b'davar. We spoke about this maybe in Purim. Right, if you find him in Ava, there's Ava Tluy B'Dover, Ava She'ena Tluy B'Dover, and then Ava Atzmis. Right? So each one there's Ava that mamish of quid pro, right? Where I give and take. Then there's an Ava where there's something fascinating and I'm in awe of it. In a way. And then there's the Ava that it's Ava Atzmis, Ben La'av. The Ben's not getting anything from the Ava, he's not even fascinated by the father. The Ben is Pashit Oyves Avin because the Av is one thing with him. So, so here, in order for the Ava to lead you to the Kabbalah Sel, the regular Ava, a lower level Ava, is going to get stuck. because there's so much sense of self there, to go to Kabbalah Sel is a big leap. Ava Nussid Liebe ends up being somewhat on the cliff, right? It ends up being between. It's still Ava, so it's a tenua of Yesh Mi Sha'oyev. That's what Ava is, a feeling, a hergish, an interest. I'm invested, but it's an Ava Atznis. It's an Ava where the Ben, it says in Tanya that Ben will be moiser nefesh for the father because there's no limitations, there's no agbalas cloud. He's ma'uchin in ganzim tonight. He'll give himself completely over to the father. So it's an Ava shebchinas bittul. This Ava shebchinas bittul will lead to kiyum mitzvahs mitoich bittul, the open bittul, which is when you leave the place of Ava and actually enter bittul, the bittul of Kabbalah. So in a way, somehow the Ben, and being a true Ben, that's what leads you to be an Eved. Right? Even though Bechlam sits with that, they have two different personalities, and Ben and Eved Pashut are mamish, right across the hall from each other. They're mamish min hakatza lakatza. But how do you become the Ben? Or sorry, how do you become the Eved? How does the Avodah of Eved start? It will always start with Ben. It's going to start with Ben. Fine. Now, when we come to Eved, and the Maila of Eved, and then, as he says, there's beyond Eved, there's the Kiyum HaMitzvahs. So here, this Sif Dal is mamish. On the one hand, there's Arichas here. Mitzacheni, the Arichas is so concise. Every line here is a Sugya Shlema. In what's Roshei Libo, in what's Kabbalah Sale, and then the Ha'aris there, differently found in Miratzin, and then differently found in Kabbalah Sale, and then the mitzvahs that higher than Kabbalah Sale. So minyanim klolim b'chlal in the Rebbe's Torah on Ben ve'Eved, the union of Eved, which here in the Sif it's brought very, very bekitzer. So there's a few big chidushim and hadashas the way the Rebbe learned the sugya of Eved. One of the nekudis is that b'chlal, at Pashas, you learn the Maamarim here in Samach Vav, and learn Ben ve'Eved, Beifin Kloli Yechsidis. In general, the difference between them seems to be like this. There are obviously many chilukim, and it's a big part of Salomon, many Maamarim, not only in Miknei Rab, many Maamarim Klal, and each one has another hadasha. Beifin Kloli, Ben is Momayla Lamata. Eved is Momata Lamata. Right? And a big part of Samach Vav, he says, he's mafli the Maila of Ben. The Ben, l'chayra, is in the Neshama De'etzilis. By a Ben doesn't use no sense in Samach Vav, but right, by a Ben is only close to Pshittis. And a Ben, his Moyach is like Moyach Ha'av. His Ratz is like Ratz Ha'av. A Ben is associated, he's in sync with his father. The Tata Vilepis, he wants what his father wants. His father thinks in a certain way. Intuitively, the son thinks that way. That doesn't mean neschanich, right? That's just the way a son thinks. He has the same head. He has the same tchunas hanefesh. That's why Dafka Yidden do it there b'tachtoyin, because only they. Lashon Baruch says it's only because they say verstehen in der b'tachtoyin. They also want der b'tachtoyin because like the Eibishter wants, they want. They understand in Torah. That's how they can be mechadish in Torah, because they know. He brings this in our Maamarim as well, because they know what the Eibishter really wants. So that's the Ben. Lashon Hazoyer, Ben chafis b'gnuzi da'avoy. The Ben, and he knows and he wants to know everything about his father. The Eved is disconnected. Who's the Eved? There's no family relationship. There's no an Eved Pasha. He's not a Talmud in any way. He's no Shaykh's Klal. The Odin, or the Lashon even higher, the Melech, is so far removed. It's a completely different world than the Eved. So the Eved is a nobody, and the Odin is out. Obervas. The Eved is so low and it's so far and doesn't get it at all. But in Patzmeretwegen Bittul, and what's that gush in Bittul? Wer brecht sich mehr, with the Lashon Baruch Tzamach is Schadshos. Where is there more Schadshos? Where is there a change? The Ben is not Mechadish anything, it's natural to him. The Eved is Mechadish in his personality, he has to break himself. He has to break himself in the Avodah. What does the Avodah Eved does? The Eved works in Dvarim Pshutim, simple Avodas. This is the work out there in the field. And Mamash be Mechadish Yishman, Avodas Avidorim. Really break things and be Mehapich. That's the Maila of Eved. So Sai, he changes himself, and Sai he changes things around. Why is the Eved after the one doing it? Because the Eved brings himself to the table when the Ben was brought to the table. Yeah, was born. he was born. He came, kommt von der Tipas Meirav. The Eved, on his own, comes and is mekabel oil malchusi yisbarach. And that's that flow of Eved, the milas atachtim, and the avoid of the tachtim, the bitl of tachtim. That's believing closely the avona in the mile of Eved over bit. The Rebbe, in the Sichos and Mefrat in the Maamarim, the Rebbe takes a bit of a different track. And then different ha'aris, the Rebbe brings a chochis, even kind of right teaching as it, the Be'etzim says that some above as well. But it's not the Pasha Pshat, the Pasha Avonas Advar, this way the Rebbe learns. The Vart of Eved is not that it's more Tat. The Ben is the Tate, is more the Elyon, and the Eved is more the Tat. No. The Mila of Eved is that it's more Elyon. The Ben is Toifus in Atzmos, Rus Libus Teifus Atzmos, but Dafka the Eved is Teifus Atzmos Mash. Right, but with Pashtus you come and say, because the Ben comes from the father, the Eved Taka doesn't come, the Eved comes from Zich, but Dafka through his Shvira, through breaking himself, and through his Ischatshos, this is what the Eivishter really wants. He wants that a Zula should come, and Zechir gave to him, and that's why the Eivishter, Atzmos Mamish is Nimshach through Eved. But we say no, it's not the Vart. The Vart is because Taka, the Eved, the Shoyresh of the Eved, and the Shoyresh of the Avodas Eved, is not only through our Avodah we reach Atzmos Mamish, it comes from Atzmos Mamish. What's the Pshat? Because the Vart of Kabbalah's oil, that Gosha isn't that I'm Mekabel the oil. That's not that Gosha. That Gosha of Bittul and Kabbalah's oil is that the Avodah that's done is nicht meine, es ist seine. You could say, Pashtos, it seems like this. The Ben, everything he's doing, it's not something that he's doing. The Ben is just an extension, everything he's doing just coming from the father. The Eved, Tudzait, he brought himself to the table to be an Eved. Here we say no. The Ben, it's natural to him. Everything he does is his Teva. It's his Teva. He wants to do what the father wants. He wants his Moiser Nefesh. It's his biggest time. It's his biggest geschmack. That's who he is. He's one with his father. Mashaken the Eved. Why is the Eved doing that later? The Eved doesn't want to be here. Why is he doing what he's doing? Because what the Eibusher wants. What he is doing is nish zaynis. It's the Adams. That's not Goshen. It's the Eibusher himself. Because of this, based on this yisoid, there's kama chidushim mifloim in the Maamarim. So Lamosha, one of the Yom, and this is befrat in the Shavuos Maamarim, Sugi b'chodesh hashlishi chavtes, Rani v'simchi chavzayin, ba'alois chavtes, Maluk Adal, Maluk Adhei, where the Rebbe speaks about two kinds of avodah. In Pashan Halacha, there's an Eved shemachar atzmai, and an Eved shemachru bezdin. Machar atzmai is someone that needs some money. He started to sell stuff as Eved. But then there's an Eved that goes out there, the guy that goes out there and steals, and Bezdin is Mainishim, and the Einish is the Bezdin goes and sells it. And you see in Halacha that an Eved shemachru Bezdin, there's certain young that he's, the Adam gives him Shifcha Knainis is only an Eved shemachru Bezdin, not an Eved shemachar atzmai. Right? Meaning that even Sai Machar Atzman, Sai Machar Bezin, both Avodim lose their individual personality as a regular Yid, the regular personality is the Eved of the Odim, but Dafka the Machru Bezin guy is more of an Eved. He's such an Eved that he could be with the Shiluk Nights. So Rebbe says, what do you see here? That an Eved that's not done by me, but that I choose to be an Eved, but rather an Eved that was superimposed on me, I was turned into an Eved, or another Maimer, the Rebbe says, Noilad Eved, born as an Eved, this Eved is a higher level of Bittul, is more of an Eved. What would this mean in the Yidden connected to the Eibishter? So two things happened by Matan Torah. The Yidden said Nasav and Ishma. They were Makabal Aleim Malchus Shamayim. But afterwards, after Makabal Malchus Shamayim, the Eibishter came and brought Kaf Aleim Harkig. He just brought her sin on top of them and forced them and said, if you're Makabal Torah, good. If not, What are you forcing them into? They already Makabel Malchus Shemayim. Maybe if they wouldn't Makabel Shemayim Seder, but less greater, you force people into something. But they're doing it B'Ratzon Stachmeir. Because the first level of Bittul was Machar Atzmi. They chose it. They chose the Kabbalah Sel. But this level of Bittul is the Eibishter forced them into. Now, okay, this is a word, probably you learned the Rebbe's Amar, and you've seen this word. When you think the flaws of Dvarim, it's an even Muflo B'Yoysa, and it's mamish counterintuitive of the simple of the whole point of Eved. The Chayr and the Kud of Eved is as a Yid, Kult, and Zog, Ich bin Mekabel Malchus Shemayim. Avodas HaTachton. Machru Bezdin, if the word of Bittul is the Eibishter chose us, made us into Avodim, then what's the Avodas HaTachton here? What's the Ischadshus? The Eibishter came and did it. It's all Kol Kulim U'Mayla. But that's the whole word, because the real Toichin, the real Nekuda and Chidush of Eved is this word. That what is the flaw of the Avodah of the Eved? That it's all him. It's the Eibishter. There's no was weniger mitzias. Another oisis that Rebbe uses in this, I'm going to put the Sicha, is not in some Maamarim, Ekev Chilek Tes, right, where the Rebbe introduces the difference between Kamus HaBittul and Nohus HaBittul, or something that's called Eichos HaBittul. That Kamus, in Kimitzei Schuyot Beis, there's Kamus HaBittul and Eichos HaBittul, Nohus HaBittul. In Kamus HaBittul, we're in the time of Matan Torah, that's in the time of Zman HaBayis, that sees Alikos all over, and Gitzich Chibur and Gansen, Shtachveis Leirois, the bottle and Gansen, the Eibish there. They're more bottled, they're more dedicated and completely subsumed in the Kedusha and in the Gilead Elikus than Zman HaGolus. So in Kamus HaBittul, how much it permeates the person, there's more Bittul in Zman HaBayis. But in Mahus HaBittul, the Eichos HaBittul, Zman HaGolus is more. Why? Because now when a Yid does his Avodah, why is he doing it? Vilnish, he's not interested, the Keder Nichalei. Why is he doing it? Because the Eibish there. Vas Hat Yeh, the little bit that he does have, is all from the Eibish. Now, once we come to that Yesoid, that the whole Toichin of Eved, the Yesoid of Eved is him, is about the Eibish there and not about you. So now this Indian is brought out in different Maamar, in different Adgasha on the Chiddush of Eved and the Dargis and Afloga. It's like I said, so there's Yisiretzich, that there's Machar Atzmo and Machru Bezdin is higher. In the Lashon he uses in our Maimer, in page 6, line 7 over here. V'zeu ha'yisin, the end of the line that starts with the libo. V'zeu ha'yisin sheba'avodah the Kabbalah aseh l'gabi Yerusa de libo. Yerusa de libo hu ratzin ha'adam. וגם שהרצון שלו הוא בביטול, שאינו יראה אצל העצמי כלל, בכל רצוי לו שיושלם רצון הקדוש ברוך הוא, מכל מקום גם רצון זהו הרצון של האדם מציאוס. Because the whole nekuda of, what's the nekuda of the Bittul Kabbalah? It's all about that there's no you and sin. It's not about the Iber Geben Zich. If it's Iber Geben Zich, Roshei Libby gives the Iber and Gansen. But that's not the Adgasha of Eved. The Adgasha of Eved, the Adgasha of the Bittul is less Zich and more Eibishter. So even when we come to the highest level of Ava Roshei de Liba, and Ava Roshei de Liba Gufe, the Rebbe brings in Ara 25, there's two dargis in Ava Roshei de Liba. There's the Ratzin L'Dafka B'Hashem V'Loy L'Pari B'Shumay V'Nafil M'Sir Hashem. He wants to be with the Eibishter constantly, but it's Arbo Zayin with the Eibishter, even if he has to give up his life. And then we understand that there's a certain element of Mitzias here. He wants to connect to the Eibishter, but then there's a higher level of Roshei de Liba. Inyan Habitulu Shekol Ritzoyne Hu Ratzin essentially Gilkus Ba'elam. It's not about me. It's not even about me giving myself over to him, even at the expense of dying. It's not about me, about Bichlal, what I have interest in. The Ratzin is that the Eibishter is on Skal of Ernin Belt. The Eibishter is Ratzin Shminas Mal. But what? But there's a Ratzin. I want it. The fact that you want, Duvil says. That's already a Mitzias. What's the Mitzias? This is Arus 27. והביטול שברוצים זהו בעצורה שלוי שאין רוצה לעצמי ורק שיושלם רצון הקדוש ברוך הוא. אבל לעצם הרוצים החומר הוא מציאס. יש חומר נצור.
if you're talking about the tzure, was will sich, what does the person want? In what he wants, there's no him. There's no zich. It's all about the Eivishter's Ratzon Tons Malvin. But the fact that I want it, that a human being wants it, the etzem Ratzon, the choimer, the Metzias, that there's a musik of Ratzon is ervil. So the etzem person existed. So that itself is already a Metzias, so it's nicht bittul, it's nicht ever. Then it says that in this nekuda, in this Maamarim that Rebbe read, a bit lower. In all the Maamarim, Moshe the Maamarim Hoya Chav Zayin, look at this. So the Rebbe takes this further. The Rebbe says a word like this. Based off this part, so Mele Rotzin, right? So Mele Rotzin, the Rotzin for Gilalikos, Rosa Deliba, that's Mitzias. But what about Kabbalah Sehel? Kabbalah Sehel is bittul, right? The Maamarim says even bittul is not something, but that's for a different time. But Kabbalah Sehel is bittul. In Vahoya Eike, the Rebbe goes Tifer, but it's based on the same Yesod. The Rebbe says not only Ratzin is Metzias, Kabbalah Sehel is also Metzias. That the Rebbe doesn't say. The Rebbe doesn't say Kabbalah Sehel is Metzias. The Rebbe says Kabbalah Sehel is bittul, but even bittul is not Atzis. But the Rebbe says even Kabbalah Sehel is Metzias. Why? He was a Kabbalah Sehel. Right? A Yid, Mitzad is Neshama, a Yid has Kabbalah Sehel, a Yid has Mesiras Nefesh, a Yid has Bittul. Right? Mitzad Teva Neshama, a Yid is Batul to the Eibishter. So when a Yid is Batul, and a Yid is Mesiras Nefesh, and a Yid is Mekabel oil, that's also Mitzias. It's based off the same Svar, that was taking it a step further. If the nekuda is that any element, any part of your personality and your individuality exists, something that's natural to you, so it's not just the word here that the fact that you have Ratzin, I want, that Tnu of Ratzin is already a Ratzin, is already a Tnu of Metzias. Ich will. What's willst du? The fact that you want, is already, you're expressing yourself. Even if it's not I want, I'm mispatel. I'm koife myself. I break myself. But because this is the tab of a Yid, the tab of the Neshama of a Yid, so weiter. You can't say it's all Eibishter based. You're part of the equation. You're part of the story. You show up, a Yid shows up, or Tut Ratzon Hashem. Lashon, he says, and that Maamar is the dafke when a person breaks a Nefesh Bahamis, and a person makes that the Nefesh Bahamis should have Aval Hashem. Nefesh Bahamis, it's not natural to love the Eibishter. When Nefesh Bahamis loves the Eibishter, that's bittul. Nekudas in different Maamar, different sichos, it goes in different directions. But saying the same word, that I think the Yesod is, Yosam the Zalman Nekudas. The what's bittul is, and what's Eved, and what's bittul. Bittul is, it's all about the Adam. It's the Eichus HaBittul, the Mahus HaBittul. It's bittul mitzad ha'odem, mitzad ha'nehav, the Lashon he uses there in the Vahoya Eike, mitzad ha'elikus, the Lashon used in Maamarim. Uvemela, any sense of mitzias, even in the most edele and delicate oifen, is a steer to that. But then comes Maamarim Margala and says, after I reach the stakustika oifen in bittul, that shoilo any form of mitzias, the way he says it here in the Arbo, the way he says in the other Maamarim, let's even say we got to Machru Bezdin, or even higher I found that it's before the Maamarim, that it's all about Tzad Eivish there, for sof, it's bittul. And bittul is also a mitzias. What's a mitzias? It's the mitzias of bittul. Not the mitzias as in, we have an individual mitzias. There's something going on. I'm connected to the Eibishter through mitzias, through my tamadas, through my midas, through my avodah. I'm connected to the Eibishter through being nispat. Ha-gufa, that something's being nispatel, that means there's something that's being nispatel. And the Eibishter is nitfas through something that's being nispatel. That's not Atzmus Mamish. Atzmus Mamish is beyond Mitzias, beyond Bittul, even the most darkest that they found in Bittul, and only Ratzin Hashem, only the Eibishter himself, his Ritzoyim can be Mamshech Atzmus. And then he goes right and said that has to go into Ben and Eved again, B'chol. But the Yisoid of Eved is this Nekuda, Mitzad Ha'odem. Right, L'chaim.